So, maybe we start with a short meditation. We have been talking so much about meditation, and then we don't do any meditation, would feel funny. We can relax for some time. And then we can do this breathing for 21 times as I described. So these were, in brief, the classification. Now we come to the third point of this meditation, which is the classification actual meditative concentration has three classifications, it says. A, meditative concentration or meditation, abiding in bliss at the present. Thomichula devar nepa. Thomichula devar nepa. I think more or less peace of mind, yeah? To bring peace of mind. And then you intend to be something. Accumulating good qualities, positive qualities, and then benefiting sentient beings. The first is, the meditation that like shamatha meditation, which makes your mind pacified, in peace, relaxed, and it also tames or trains your mind, and your mind and body also. And therefore it brings lots of peace, and this is described like this. The first is called abiding in bliss, and this is free of discursive thoughts. First means maintaining the mind one-pointedly. That you allow your mind to relax, so it's not thinking too much. Secondly, perfectly ease the body and mind. Means it kind of, because your mind is at ease, so therefore the mind is not disturbed by negative emotions. Therefore, your body you can control. You do not something that you know should not be done, you can let it not do. Something you know should be done, you can let it do by body and mind. And when the mind is uncontrolled, then, even if you know that it should not be done, so you cannot control it. It will be, you will do it. And even you know that this should be done, sometimes you don't want to do it. Yeah? And this comes from the mind becoming more flexible and pliable. There are different kind of explanations done. Lam Sentong Talwa. Lam Sentong Talwa. Supremely pacified means flowing effortlessly, free from arrogance means free of the afflictive emotions and views. Not experiencing the test means not having the afflictive emotions of existence. Free from concepts means free of enjoyment of form, etc. The old doors to all these different ways are the 4 meditative concentrations. So usually, there are what we call the 4 meditative, something Tambo, something Yimba, something Yeba, the 4, First dhyana or dhyana, second, third, fourth. These are lots of things. These are very much discussed in the Theravada teachings. It's also very much discussed in Mahayana teachings. But it is different levels of experience, so it's not so much useful to discuss too much because, it's the kind of achievements, not really different techniques. The 4 meditations. They said that this first level of meditation or meditative concentration still has a little bit of, analytic and discursive mental factors. It's peaceful, but little bit thoughts and there. And then when you become more deeper, more subtle, in the second meditation absorption, then there is lots of joy. Some kind of, this is very important to understand that, when your mind becomes peaceful and tamed, then naturally kind of inner joy appears. It's said to be very, very nice, very happy, very happy, joyful, because there's no disturbance. And then the third stage comes then not only joy, but also bliss, a subtle kind of bliss happens. And then both mind and body are in kind of in a very satisfied state of mind. And then if you don't get attached to that, and then go on meditating like this, then there is a sense of equanimity, very deep level of equanimity. This equanimity is not equanimity of like, what can you say? Uncaring, or indifference kind of equanimity. It's kind of equanimity where, nothing can disturb you, nothing can make you unhappy, kind of, or disturbed, and that kind of equanimity. And that is supposed to be the highest point of samsara, highest kind of samsaric state of mind. And then if you go one step higher, you get into kind of beyond samsara, you get into like, you cross the samsaric state of being. So all this up to that state is this type of meditation, what is called bringing bliss and peace, and the first level of abiding in bliss kind of meditation. After that, then accumulating good qualities. I'm not sure whether this is a good translation, abiding, accumulating good qualities, but then, there are many different types of meditative states described, kind of thousands of different, what they call the gates or the doors of meditation. So this is all different kind of qualities, different levels of and different stages of bhumis, and now you are no longer in the samsaric kind of state, so beyond the samsaric state of being, but also all kind of different things. And here, if I read the translation a little bit, the meditative concentration of accumulating good qualities is here described as uncommon and common. The first uncommon is limitless, inconceivable variety of meditative concentrations related to the 10 strengths. The 10 strengths, these are kind of Buddha qualities. Even the names of which the hearers and solitary realizers do not know. Hearers means Shravakayana, and solitary realizer means Pritaka Buddha. The common ones is liberation, surpassing, increasing, exhaustion, discriminating awareness, and so forth are held in common with the hearer and solitary realizers. While the names are common, the natures are dissimilar. So these are different levels of meditations. of Sarvakayana, Prateka Buddha, then Bodhisattvas, until you attain the kind of Buddhahood, all different kind of meditations, which it is not so useful to talk about, or you cannot talk about because you don't know what it is. It says even the Prateka Buddhas and Sarvakayana people don't know, so obviously I don't know. Then third is benefiting sentient beings. The meditation that is in order to help other beings. One can manifest limitless bodies depending on any of the meditative concentrations and benefit sentient beings in the 11 ways, such as providing whatever support is needed and so forth, as explained earlier in chapter 13. In that case, there are states called calm abiding and special insight. Well, this is up to this. So this benefiting sentient beings, once you are at a certain stage of meditative state, then you can work for the benefit of other beings in a very truly benefiting way, And that is that you can even manifest yourself into many bodies and then emanate those bodies wherever it's needed, and different kind of forms and whatever kind of forms needed for whatever realms or things like that, and then can teach them, can guide them, can give examples in whatever way. Actually, that's when a true meditator. That's why that's why it is sometimes people think that Buddhists talk about compassion and helping people, but they don't do anything. They go into retreat and they close themselves up and not even see anybody, although they talk a lot about helping others. And that sounds very funny. In one way, it is true. It sounds very funny, because if you want to help people, you can't not meet anybody and close yourself up. And, but the idea was not that. The idea was that if we try to help now, when we are not really so much qualified or we don't have so much ability to help, then it's a good intention. It's nice thing to do, but it might not help that much. And it might even kind of sometimes harm people unintentionally. And also in the process of trying to help, you might get so so frustrated that you would yourself become distressed, depressed, and kind of burnt out. And then it would not help much. So therefore, ideally, you should first prepare yourself in such a way that you have you have a very high level of quality, so that you can really help, and then you start to help, and help in a big way and a true way. That's the general understanding. But sometimes we think that if we wait for that time, then that time may never come. That is also, there is some truth there also. So therefore I think we should also try to help, but if you are at this level, then the help becomes extremely real and great. That's the idea. Generally speaking, we talk about two meditations, shamatha and vipassana. Shamatha is called calm abiding, and vipassana is insight. So these two together, this is the understanding that we should try to use these two together. Calm abiding or shamatha meditation is the main meditation when we are talking about meditation, because it's about allowing your mind to relax, and using different methods, but in one way all these methods are the same. Relaxing and a little bit aware and a little bit mindful, and mindfulness and awareness is the only tool that we have. All meditations and actually all practices in Dharma, only tool we have is mindfulness and awareness. And awareness means, being aware, knowing what's happening. That is actually a natural quality of our mind. So we are always aware. We see, we hear, we feel, we know. That's the main quality of our mind, aware. When we are unaware also, we know we are unaware. When we are dull also, we know we are dull. And that there is this little awareness or subtle awareness even when we are sleepy. Although we are at this moment too gross. Our mindfulness is too gross. We cannot catch that awareness when we are sleeping, but there is also very kind of awareness. So therefore, but the mindfulness is to become aware of that awareness. There is, when I see, I know I am seeing. When I hear, I know I am hearing. When I feel, I know I'm feeling. When I stand up, I know I'm standing. When I sit down, I know I'm standing. When I walk, I know I'm walking. That's mindfulness. So when our mindfulness is kind of being aware of what's going on, and then do what we should be doing and not doing what we should not be doing, that's the practice. And so therefore, when our mind becomes mindful, then we are meditating, we are practicing. There are three things we talk about: awareness, mindfulness, and payu. The Tibetan word payu, that is difficult to translate. Sometimes it is translated as carefulness, but it is not exactly carefulness. It's, it's more like for instance, I sometimes give this example, a little bit like a joke. When I'm walking on the street, then I should be walking, with some awareness. What is going on? What is there around? What is going on around? I can see, I can feel, what's going on. The cars are moving, people are moving, there's things around. So that's, I see what is in front of me, that's awareness. Then I see a dog shit in front of me. But somebody told me that I should not say dog shit because that's a swear word. So she told me that you should say dog poo in English. So I see a dog poo. So now I'm aware of a dog poo in front of me. Then I know that I should not step on that. Yeah? But sometimes if I'm not careful, I say, I should not step, and I step. No? That's what I did when I was trying to drive scooter. Once I was trying to learn how to drive a scooter, and then I should not go there, I should not go there. I go there. Every time like that. That's when you are not trained, When you are not trained enough, you do that. That's called, mind and body not coordinated. So now this third thing, what we are talking about, payu, is that you know that you should not step on the dog poo, and then you don't step on the dog poo. Either you jump over it, or you go around this, or you go around that, or you put it in a plastic bag and put it in your bag. Whatever you do doesn't matter. That is the third one. What do you call it? What you would call that?
Like alertness, being alert, prepared?
No, it's not alert. It's doing the thing. It's putting it into practice. It's actually, what can you say? Huh?
Assertiveness.
Huh?
Assertiveness.
Assertiveness. Whatever you call it, doesn't matter. So these three things, is the thing that we need to train in, a little bit aware, and then mindful, and then third thing, action. Or, huh? Action.
Rubbish is on the street, we pick up and put in the dog shit or whatever.
Never call dog shit. How do you call it in Slovenian? It's not a good word.
A swear word or a nice word?
You have two words? What's the swear word?
Swear is drag.
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 Drag. Okay. And not swear word?
Nothing kakets.
Kakas. Okay.
There are many words actually, now I remember them.
Oh, there are many words.
Swear words, certain nice words I remember easily.
You are very rich. Huh?
Our language very rich with 10 words.
Yeah. That's good. So you can make a very poetic. You can make a very poetic with different. You can describe the dog poo in a poetic way. So anyway, so this it's not so important, but but anyway, the calm abiding or the shamatha, usually when we talk about the meditation, basically it's about shamatha, but then of course there can be all different kind of meditations. And then the vipassana, there, of course, sometimes some vipassana is also like shamatha or similar. But generally, vipassana is about wisdom, because it's kind of being aware of the nature of things. So it's wisdom, and that wisdom part of the is described in the next chapter. So in a way, vipassana meditation is kind of part of the wisdom chapter also. Then that's the characteristic of each classification, this fourth. Then the fifth, increase. How to increase? Meditative concentration will increase through primordial wisdom, wisdom awareness, and dedication, as I explained before. This is something in this book all the time, same thing, all these six paramitas, how to develop these six paramitas, or each of these six paramitas is the same, through Yeshi, Shirap and Ngoa. Yeshi, Shirap and Ngoa, they talk about. Yeshi is generally, it's here translated as primordial wisdom. Yeshi. Ye, she. Ye is like right from the beginning, or primordially, or naturally, naturally wisdom. Natural wisdom means that there is kind of that awareness or that quality is naturally there in us. It's just that we are not aware of that, or we don't understand it, or we do not recognize that, but that is always there. That's the Yeshi, a wisdom that is innate in us, but we do not recognize or become aware now. And to become aware of that. And then Shirap is the pragya. Pragya means the wisdom, the best wisdom, or best learning, best knowing, best knowledge. So that means to understand, to see clearly, to your understanding, to try to see this clearly, to understand clearly, to know more and more. That also is important. So practice, the practicing. And then Ngoa, dedication. Dedication is very important. Any practice we do, usually we talk about these three things. First is, very strong motivation or aspiration, a kind of bodhisattva's aspiration. The more, from Buddhist point of view, how big or how great or how strong your practice becomes is not how long you do it or how much you do it. It is a lot to depend on what kind of inspirations or what kind of aspirations, with what aspirations or motivations you do it. If you do something very little but with very big aspiration, very big or very huge, important or benefiting a lot kind of motivation, then that action is regarded a big action, or very positive action. If you did something quite big, but you did it for, not too good intention, or not too great kind of, not for the benefit of lots of other beings, then that is not so great action, but small action. So that's motivation. And then second is how you do it. If you do that action with certain kind of negative emotions, even if there's no negative emotion, too much kind of attached to that, or think I've done so much, I'm doing such a great thing, kind of, or you are too, holding on to that, then also it becomes less fruitful. If you did that action with certain understanding of, with with a certain kind of selflessness, unselfishly, and not holding on to that in a kind of lightly, more, more like without attachment to that, with some understanding of emptiness, then that action becomes a very powerful action. And lastly, that's why we talk about shirap, the wisdom. Then, lastly, the dedication. If you did something very good, and then you really could give it away, that result of that from your heart, I've done really positive thing, and whatever result that might come out of this, I really want to give it to all the sentient beings and dedicate it for their welfare, or for a great welfare for them. Then that action becomes a huge, big thing, and very strong kind of a result, because I have dedicated in a very big way. So this, so whatever practice we do, whether it's giving, whether it's ourselves, conducting ourselves, body, speech, and mind, discipline very well, morally, ethically, or we practice patience, we practice diligence or meditation. If we do this in these three ways, then that will accumulate much more, a stronger way of accumulation, and so therefore it becomes very important. It becomes big thing. The perfection of meditation concentration is supported by pervading emptiness and compassion, as explained before. So, everything, all the practices has to be these two things: wisdom and compassion, emptiness and compassion. Compassion, compassion, I think maybe we already explained compassion a lot at different stages of this book. But with a certain, with a good thoughts, good heart, with good wishes, benevolent feeling towards everybody. That's compassion. The less the negative emotions, the more compassion, because compassion is the opposite of all negative emotions. And then emptiness, or wisdom, seeing the true nature of everything, seeing that anything, including myself, including everything, is not really, it's a kind of everything is existing in a little bit dreamlike, a little bit magic-like, a little bit illusion-like, which actually is, So the more we can understand this, then the less we have too much kind of grasping to it, and therefore then, everything becomes. So unless we have this kind of wisdom, The 6 paramitas cannot become perfected. It can become perfected only with wisdom, and it is increased with compassion. So these two. Then the result. One should understand the result of meditative contemplation in the ultimate and conventional states. There are two results, the ultimate result and the temporary or conventional result. In the ultimate state, one attains unsuppressible enlightenment. That's the Buddhahood. There is here is given a quotation. Actually, I didn't go through any of the quotations through this book, through this chapter. There are so many quotations. And these quotations are from the sutras, quotations to kind of to reiterate and to explain, what has already been said. So therefore, I didn't think it was too important to kind of re-say it in the quotation. But of course, since many of you understand English, you can read it. I think it's good to read it. Bodhisattvas, by fully perfecting meditative concentration, attained the unsuppressible, perfect, complete enlightenment, will achieve the complete enlightenment, attaining the complete, perfect enlightenment. This is just the same thing said in quotation. The ultimate result is, perfect enlightenment. So meditation is one main, practice which brings the complete enlightenment. Without meditation, one cannot get there. So that's why. In the conventional state, one will attain the body of gods free from the desire. Acharya Nagarjuna says, by fully abandoning the joy, happiness and suffering of the desire world, one will achieve states equal to the gods of the Brahma, Keralite, increasing virtue, and great fruit god levels of the 4 meditative concentrations. I don't think I will explain this too much because then you need to explain all those different kind of gods levels, which I don't know is so much necessary. But from Buddhist point of view, different levels of God's realms, and especially, there are lots of gods, lots of levels of God's realm. The six. We talk about 6 realms. These 6 realms is also basically is a kind of what can you say, based on 6 important emotions. 6 important emotions, like Heldon, hatred, hungry ghost realm, greed, animal realm, kind of unclear or more like unclear mind, ignorance. Then human realm, desire, too much desire. Then demigod's realm, lots of envy. And then God's realm, pride. So these 6 realms. But that doesn't mean that there are only 6 kind of beings in the universe. There could be countless kind of beings. But these six emotions, if these 6 emotions become the overwhelming kind of emotion of a person, then that could result into that kind of a realm. That's the general understanding. But just now we were talking about the God's realm. So God's realm also can be many different. I don't know whether I should actually say these things. There's no need maybe to say these things because it's here, so therefore there's the God's realm, there is desire God's realm. Then what they call as the form God's realm, and then formless God's realm. Now desire God's realm also many, but maybe I'm not going there, how many. But it's still desire. There is certain kind, there is lots of, what can you say? They feel, attracted, and they enjoy. They have desire. They have certain kind of, happiness and unhappiness and worries and things like that. But very good life, perfect life. Everything is there. That kind of a desire realm, and that also many different kinds. Then form realm, that is this 4 meditative states. Those in the 4 meditative states, they go into or they are born into, or they remain in the form realm. There, the level of their experience is much higher, much deeper, so form realm, they are also different. There are 17 forms realm. And then the highest form realm is then just one step from crossing out of the samsara. That's the highest samsaric, place. By this time, I must tell a joke, which I just heard. And this was the first German joke that I am repeating. Because, I'm in Germany a lot because I'm supposed to be resident of Germany, I'm a resident of Germany for, I don't know, many years, since 2002. But I don't know a word of German. And I'm really embarrassed by that. Especially last year, I was so embarrassed. I was never embarrassed so badly. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm not going to talk about that. And I always ask German people to tell me jokes. And they try very hard, because I really poke them, say that you Germans have no sense of humor. But I had one German joke now, which I would like to repeat, which is, the Tune, or something like that. One German guy, he died and went to heaven, and then he met whoever that was there, And then he said, "This is heaven, isn't it?" Yes, it is. I heard that, 1 day here or 1 minute here is like 100 years in the human realm. They said, "Yes." Yeah. And then he said, it is said that one euro here is equal to 100 euros on the earth, isn't it? Yeah. Then he says, "Can you give me 1 euro, please?" He said, "Yes, but wait 1 minute." And then there is also this formless realm, which is another thing which, anyway, I don't understand anyway, so it's not very useful to talk about. So this is the 16th chapter, kind of, the chapter on meditation. And I think it must be time for a break now. 1 minute. The break for 1 minute. So maybe we can start with a short meditation so that then people can come in. you have any questions regarding anything? Yes?
If you have some practical advice on meditation, sometimes it's like, a thought or something that really bugs me, irritates me, and I cannot, even if I sit and try to be calm, it just eats me, something. It's like when you have a toothache, your tooth,
Yes?
you cannot think that it's not hurting. It's also when I try to meditate, there can be a thought that just doesn't go away. Do you have any practical idea how to do this?
What kind of a thought?
It can be a meeting that is very important, and I do a foolish thing that could jeopardize my company or
No, you have a?
to bring danger to my company, the business I'm working on. Worry, So, and I'm thinking all the time, why did I say that? Why did I say that? I mean, logic doesn't help.
You do it yourself?
Yeah.
You do something to jeopardize your company.
Yes, I say something stupid.
I think you should find a lock.
This is already done.
Yeah, that's that. That's why we need to a little bit relax and make our mind clear before we say something or do something. Yeah, because otherwise, we make trouble for ourselves and we make trouble for others also. Yeah. So therefore, we should try to make it a habit to first come down and clear our mind and think properly before we say or do anything. Kind of make it a habit, no? And but the thing is like that, yes, if you have a kind of strong kind of problem or very kind of worrying thing happening or something like that, then it is natural that your mind is too much attracted to that. But sometimes that is when meditation is most needed, because your mind too much worried, too much kind of frustrated by that problem, then you become too emotional, and then you cannot think properly. Yeah? And it's difficult to solve a problem when your mind is not clear and not settled. Yeah? And that's the time I think we need to relax most, whether you call it meditation or not. And therefore, I think it will be very important to breathe. Just breathe. Breathe out and fully concentrating on that. breathe out. Little bit let it be, breathe in. Little bit let be, breathe out. Little bit let be, breathe in. Sometimes you even do like this. Breathe in. Breathe out. Then again breathe in. Do this 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sometimes calms your mind down. Not only your mind down, sometimes calms your body also. Especially if you have constipation problem, this will help. Even my mother, who is 91 years old, says that this helps her. Yeah? So then once you become a little bit more calm, more, because it's very necessary to put your mind off that problem. Because if you are totally only on that problem or that worry, then it's not just meditation, it's not good for the thing. And then also you are too much involved and too much emotional, and you can't relax, you can't sleep, you can't, then it's not good. So try to do that and try to relax by knowing, by understanding that worrying doesn't help. Worrying doesn't help at all. Having kind of too much fear also doesn't help. Even if there is a big danger, fearing doesn't help. So you have to be prepared to face whatever you have to face. So therefore, not too much focusing on that, but a little bit, and sometimes when your mind is more relaxed, some solution can come up. Some bright idea can come up. It is often said that some of the most innovative and creative ideas come when your mind is not thinking about it. Lots of scientists also made discoveries when they were not thinking about that. They were doing something else, and then suddenly these things approached. And so therefore, when you have to solve a problem also, it's not good to think too much on that. If you relax and not think about it, sometimes better ideas come. Many people say the brightest ideas come early morning, like 4 or 3:30. It's really true. Many times it's like that also. But if you don't write it down, you will forget. So that's, I think, is important. And meditation is also like that, actually, to learn your mind to be, taken off from things that you are too much involved and disturbed with. And then when you can do that, you can meditate. That's called meditation. Yeah? Yes?
I have a question regarding karma. As we have lived infinite number of times,
So in every life we have created negative karma. So the amount of this karma now is infinite too. How can we purify this infinite amount of karma? I'm thinking that perhaps the only things we can do is living in such a way that we, through the practices, we can prevent this negative karma display to occur. Because otherwise, thinking mathematically, I cannot imagine how can this infinite amount of karma diminish. And the second question regarding this is, for example, for every one of us, does exist some, perhaps a little funny, does exist some, how to say, some technical indicator, how big amount of this negative karma is? Is it like 1 kilometer, 10, 100,000? You know?
You know, first, it is said from the Buddhist point of view that to purify negative karma is very easy. Otherwise, you will never able. If it takes the same time to purify that as that you accumulated, then it is impossible to purify it, as you say. So therefore, to purify is very easy because actually it's not there. You know, like negative karma is also basically, you know, basically basically it is also illusory. Yeah? And so therefore it's a habitual tendency. So therefore, you know, if we deeply wish to let go of it, and then, you know, if we make use the, you know, 4 powers to purify it, we can purify it very easily. They say that 2 most strong ways of purification is the compassion and wisdom. Yeah? Compassion is a very strong way of purification because, you know, all negative actions are based on negative emotions. Yeah? Because of the negative emotions, it becomes negative actions. And so therefore, the opposite of all negative emotions is the compassion. So if you really have a true compassion, or very deep compassion arises, it kind of erases or purifies most of your negative karma, because it's you know, it's the opposite. These two cannot be together. On top of that, even more stronger is the wisdom, because all this negative karma is based on, you know, on the ignorance, the feeling that I am. I am so and so. I am there. I exist. I am separate from everything else. That is the basis. Ego, or ego clinging, is the basis of all negative accumulation. So with wisdom, if you see this deeply, then there is no basis. So it's all gone. Like, there's a story about Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru, this, during Buddha's time, he was a prince, and his father was a great king of Magadha, and he was a friend of Buddha, and he was a very good king, and later on he became student of Buddha, and actually he became even Arhat, because he was very good practitioner, he was very good king and everything. But this Ajatashatru, because of Devadatta, he became Devadatta's friend, and Devadatta tried to kind of make he and his father enemies, and also very much against Buddha and things like that. So he killed his father. He kills his father. He tried to do lots of harm to Buddha. He tried all kind of negative things in his life, and very, very bad things. And then at a certain time, he realized, when he had succeeded killing his father and doing, then he realized, and then he really wanted, he was such in a bad shape, because he was so guilty and he's so negative. Then he sent a message to Buddha, please, you must come and help me, because I'm in a very bad shape. I'm going to hell. I'm experiencing hell now. Please try to help me. And then the Buddha didn't go. He sent one of his students, Manjushri, to him. And then the Manjushri went there, and then he said, oh Manjushri, I've done so many bad things. I have done so foolish things, so negative things. I killed my father. I did so bad things. I always had thought badly about him, but he was actually very good, and he was only doing good things. And I did all other bad things. Immediately as I die, I go to hell, and I'm actually experiencing hell right now. And Manjushri said, yes, you are. You are immediately, as soon as you close your eyes, you are going to hell, and you'll never get out of that. He didn't console him, he made it even worse. And every time, he made it worse and worse and worse. And now he's really, he's about to lose his mind at that time. And then suddenly Manjushri says, who is that in you that's going to the hell? What is in you that's going to the hell? And it was like a shock. He said, look, what is it in me that goes to the hell? And somehow he realized that actually there is nothing in him that could go to the hell. And then somehow he realized that actually what he thought him, or what he thought was I, was actually a kind of a concept, just made up, created identification, because there was nothing called Ajatashatru in him or out there or on his body or outside his body. There was nothing that could go to hell or go anywhere. And when he deeply understood this, he actually became totally like liberated. He realized the truth. And then, he became free from this, and then, he actually became liberated and purified in one go, because he realized what he was, his true nature was. So that's why, once you have the wisdom, you experience the wisdom, you experience the true nature of yourself, there is nothing on which all the negative actions or the karma can stick to. So therefore it's all gone. Yeah? That's how to purify. And so therefore you can't say how high or how big or how in one way it's limitless, but in another way there's nothing existing on its own. Yeah.
I would like to ask you, how is your view on this problem when we disturb Earth so fast and so strong? Is this possible to stop, or when to go?
Environmental problem. How do I know? I think, that people are becoming quite, strongly aware of this problem nowadays. Yeah, the problem was there for quite some time, but most people were not aware of that. Yeah, and now, most recently, people are becoming quite aware of this. That what we are doing, human beings are doing to the earth, not only to the earth, but also to ourselves, and also to, to other beings on this earth. I think it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. It's not only earth, I'm myself, I'm worried a little bit about the situation of the earth, because, we can see, the effect of the climate change and things like that very clearly. Not only, all this kind of heat waves and cold waves and all kind of things, different places, very, very extreme weathers and things like that. But also, if you look into the Himalayas and things like that, you can see how, how much all this snow and all this, permafrost and all these glaciers are going away, and all these things is something very clear, But I am actually more worried about the weapons that we human beings are accumulating, which somehow, I don't know why, nobody is talking about these days. We have so much nuclear war ads and things like that could destroy the whole world, they say 100 times or more. And they are there all the time. Any moment, it can go off. And then it doesn't need even 10 years or 20 years. It will just next day, it's gone. Yeah? And nobody seems to be too much worried about that. But it is quite worrisome, isn't it? Because we also have very I should not say it. Yeah? Genius leaders also. Recently, somebody put a video clip on the Facebook. My photo with Donald Trump photo and what's his name, the English, Boris Yeltsin, and say, Ringu Tulku says, why do we elect bad leaders? It's on Facebook. Yeah. And I wrote to him saying, do you want me to be expelled or restricted to going to America and England? He wrote back, do you really believe so? And some of my students wrote him to take this off. He didn't take it off. What I said was not that bad, but who would listen to what I say, So I don't know whether I'm going to America or not. I'm planning to go to America in October, Anyway, maybe nobody says it. Anyway, but well, what I was saying. Anyway, it doesn't matter that. But I think like this, there will be lots of ups and downs, I think, in the world. But maybe the world will not completely disappear, I think, so soon. Maybe there will be problems, things like that. But whatever may be, I really deeply feel that this kind of course, we were talking about degeneration for a long, long time, from the, not only Buddhist, but all the, spiritual traditions have been talking about degeneration of time. And when we're talking about degeneration time, it's not talking about world becoming better, worse, but the human beings, human beings' negative emotions becoming too much, like greed becoming too much, hatred becoming too much, jealousy becoming too much, all kind of desires becoming too much, and then that will become very bad for ourselves, and also for every other thing on the earth. So that's why we are talking about Dharma. We are talking about compassion. We are talking about, trying to be kind to each other. Because, the real, there was one scientist who was saying that I thought this climate change and environmental problem is a scientific problem, a technical problem. So I thought that I will do some research, and then, in a few years' time, we can find a solution, and then it will be solved. But he said, I have soon find out that it is not a scientific problem. It's a human problem. As long as humans' greed is not in control, we cannot do anything about it. The scientists cannot do anything about it. So it's a problem that has to be solved not only by the scientists, but especially by the people, spiritually, socially, changing the people's state of mind. So that's where the problem is. So I think, if we learn how to become more kind to each other, how to develop compassion, how to let our mind become a little bit more stable and more relaxed and more peace, that could help a lot. But for that we need to understand, and not a few people, but lots of people, In one way, it's a very difficult question to make all the people become, stop doing these negative things, like, all these kind of actions that would, that would ruin the environment, that would harm all these beings, that would bring so much pain and problem to so many people, each other, all the conflicts, all the, But in another way, it's just, if all the people, or most of the people on earth, really decided to be kind to each other from today, from tomorrow, the world has changed. No? In a way, it's very difficult because we don't do it. In another way, it's easy because who doesn't want everybody to be kind to us? It's nice to be kind to each other. It's wonderful. There is nobody who doesn't like, that they experience kindness. There's nobody who doesn't appreciate kindness. Yeah? And it's easy to be kinder than to be, conflicts. So therefore, if we can do that, the world can change, And if people changes, I think environment changes too. Yeah? And if you really want, I'm sure there is a solution to find even scientific solution. I have heard that, I don't know how exactly true that is, or how exactly effective that is, but I saw a newspaper saying that some school or college children found a way to dissolve plastic with some kind of bacteria, and the plastic can become water. If that's true, that would solve lots of problems, no? I think there are lots of people who has this kind of understanding and technology, but we don't allow those people to, there are also lots of, I've heard that there are lots of doctors who know to treat lots of different diseases, but that's not allowed because it will affect somebody's business, things like that. So, probably But I also think that, we should try our best also to make things better, the environment, bring kindness and compassion to each other, bring little bit, the greed and, things like that. But it is also, I think, not good to be too much like anxious, These days, I don't know how it's happening here, but in many parts of the world, there is such a kind of negative, what can you say, pessimistic view going on in the world, that lots of young people actually literally say that there is no future. I don't feel there is any use living. I better like to die. Young people are starting to say this kind of things, which is, I think, not a good idea, which is not good. Too much kind of a pessimistic view and too much kind of a negative, as if there is nothing good happening. I think it is also true. There are lots of negative things happening, but there are lots of positive things happening also, in the world. I think we should remember that also, and we should appreciate that also. I think it's very important. There is lots of good things happening also in the world. We should try to focus on that as well, I think. And then it will feel also a little bit balanced, There was a film few years ago by, Roger Moore, no? Roger Moore, this filmmaker? Not Roger Moore, Michael Moore, he made these films on American, yeah?
Who to occupy next?
That's the one. That you should see. Yeah. Maybe I recommended it last year also here. Did you see it? Huh? It's good, no? Yeah. You must see it too. Did you see? See that?
The wind is the
Consciousness is like riding on the wind. It's like the last state, and then it goes through the bardo. So I'm a little bit don't know what's going on.
You know, this this is talking about the process of dying, yeah. Process of dying. Yeah, process of dying is that, you know, I talked about these 6 elements, no? The body, we are made of 6 elements. So these 6 elements dissolving is the process of dying, no? Like our body, you know, like different elements, you know, like the first, the earth element dissolve. That means like our body becomes difficult to move, and you know, it's kind of then the water dissolve. That means we become dry, and you know, then the heat fire dissolve. That means we become cold, you know. Then the wind element dissolve. That means we cannot breathe, you know. So when we stop breathing, then it's called death, you know, because we cannot breathe. When we don't breathe, then our body is dying. But then the mind dissolves into the space. That means then our consciousness also goes into, we become unconscious. Yeah, we become unconscious. Then we are declared dead, and the doctor gives us the signature. No, but that's, you know, that then again after some time, you know, our consciousness arises again, you know, become conscious, and then another, you know, continuum. So all this is repeating, like in a way every day we go through a little bit like that, you know. We go in the morning, we are awake and everything is good, and they say our body is a little bit longer in the morning, yeah, than in the evening, you know. So, and then in the evening we become a little bit tired and a little bit smaller, and then we go to sleep and kind of, you know, kind of dead in a way. I am totally dead. Because, you know, when I go to sleep, except my snoring, which maybe sound like a zombie. I don't think anybody can sleep with me. Luckily, I am a monk. So anyway, but this is not talking about when we were talking about that. When we are talking about that not only during the death and the dissolving, but even now, you know, what we see, me, you know, how we think I am here, I am existing, I am alive, and things like that. Yes, in a way, but if you look very deeply, even now, I am just the 6 elements which are, you know, and there is nothing, a particular thing there existing on its own as me. You know, I am amalgamation, collection of lots of things, and each of these collection is also is not really existing on its own. It's just like relatively existing. You know? So therefore, you know, there's truly nothing there. So therefore, when you understand this nature, then you know this is said to be important, because then if you really know how you are, you not only know that you only exist as you only exist as a kind of relatively existing, or a little bit like dream-like existence. Therefore, there is nothing really to die. There is nothing to die also. So there is nothing to be born, there is nothing to be died in ultimate sense. So when you deeply realize this, then you don't need to have any fear of death, or fear of birth, or fear of anything. Of course, your body will dissolve, and mind also will dissolve many of the things. That's the idea, no? And that's also the main thing about the instruction on dying. That if you really understand what dying is, then you have a better understanding of what living is.
As far I understood, I don't understand it still not, consciousness is traveling from body to body.
You can say that. You can say that in a way, but in another way, what is consciousness? Yeah? Consciousness is not one thing. This moment of consciousness, is it there next moment?
Not the same one.
Yeah, not the same one. So, this moment of consciousness, what happened to it? Then what happens to the next moment? Where does this next moment of consciousness come from? So therefore, consciousness is also not one thing. Like this body is not one thing. You know, we think that the time when I was born, my body, and now is the same body. Yeah? But actually it's not, no? When I was born, I was this much, you know, and very nice. Lovely little, you know, like this baby. Now, yeah? Is it same?
Same but different.
We only think it is same. It's not really same. We can see, yeah? So mind is even changing even more. You know? So therefore, you know, we think it's the same, but it is not same. You know? And there is even nothing there. Like body, there is something. Yeah. You could touch me when I was born, and you can still touch me when I'm now. Mind, even that is not there. So it's even. So we generally say that yes, this moment's consciousness will go into the next life when we're born. Yes, but if you look more closely, there's not something which goes there. It's a continuum, it's a continuum. That's why they say, the change, say like from this life to next life, is not the same thing. They give one example. There are many examples, but one example is like milk and yogurt. Yeah? The yogurt is the next life of milk. Yeah? The milk is not yogurt, no? Is it? The milk is not yogurt. Yogurt is not milk. But without the milk, there would be no yogurt. But when there is a yogurt, there is no milk. And when there is milk, there is no yogurt. Yeah? So when there is milk, there is no yogurt. So where did yogurt go? Yeah? And where did the yogurt come from? Because it's totally two different things. Yeah? So that's how things change. That's how, this life or these moments of ourselves and next moment is also like that. It's not exactly the same. It's not exactly different. It's not one going into another, but it's changing. But changing is not changing in a way. It's something different coming out of something.
Like transformations?
No? Yes. But you can call it, but actually it's two different things. Yogurt is not milk. Yeah?
No, but you can make yogurt out of milk.
Yes, but but it is not the same. Yeah, so it's like that, so that's like whole thing. Everything is a little bit like that, But we think it's the same thing, kind of, So therefore, when we talk about next life, or it's not exactly the same, but it's not exactly different also in a way. Yeah.
Rinpoche, yes, this is very, this is kind of really nice what you say and feels really relaxing. But in fact, there is all the time something called me, and that me is afraid. And there is me. It's pretty continual, right? And then first that me is called Zoran, of course, milk, right? But it's very afraid to become Stefan.
Yes. They have found the reincarnation of Princess Diana. You heard this?
What's her name now?
A few years ago, 2 years ago, there was it's now he's 4 years old. It's a boy now. And when this boy born in Australia, to a television presenter or something like that, when he was 2 years old, he saw a photo of Diana. And And then he told his parents, this is me before. She is me before. And I was her, and then I heard some silence, and I was no longer princess. I was me. Something like that, you know? And then this boy could remember everything in the life of Princess Diana. And he could also describe the interior decoration of the palace that she lived, which nobody of the family had seen. So, you know, he's now 4 years old. She said something like this: I was the princess, and then I heard this siren, and I was no longer princess. Something like that.
Before you were talking about the environmental problem and how it's important that love and kindness and compassion and being nice to each other is. And I continue telling my kids how this is important, but they are fighting all the time about this is mine, this is yours, not giving each other. And everybody telling me this is normal between brothers and sisters. But can you give some more advice how to continue not to get too much disappointed on the way you're looking at them behaving to quite selfish sometimes, even if you attempt to talk to them and to show them and to tell them and to listen to the stories and everything, but sometimes the result is not seen so much.
Yes, this is okay. I mean, we all have lots of negative emotions, and this is not something we develop after birth. We have it from many lifetimes. So therefore, we have also attachment, aversion, anger, desire, jealousy, pride, all these things everybody has. So it's not that children has more, children has less, everybody has those kind of things. But there are certain things, we teach to the children, I think, also. Sometimes unknowingly, sometimes from the society. One thing I was observing, because this is what people were saying. Oh, it's natural that siblings fight. And it was a little bit strange to me because I never fought with my brothers and sisters. And none of my brothers and sisters fought with me. And none of my brothers and sisters were fighting among themselves. So it's not, I thought it is not normal. Why is that? And then I observed that people were unknowingly teaching them to be jealous of each other. How they were doing? You bring this, a new baby is born, and then new baby is coming home, and then everybody coming and saying, oh, how the elder brother, sister, how he or she is jealous of, is he very jealous? How he is feeling, they're saying it like that in front of this baby. And now this baby is thinking, If I'm not jealous, maybe I'm not doing something right. Maybe I should be jealous. Yes, I should be jealous. Because that's normal. Everybody thinks it should be like that. I think this is being taught. And I told somebody, why do you do this? Don't do this. They said, no, we are not doing anything. It's just normal. It's happening. How else should we do? And I told them, no, you don't do like this. You tell the elder brother or sister that this is your brother, your sister. This is yours. If it is mine, I can't be jealous. Yeah? And this is how it's said in my family. This is your brother, this is your sister. Yours. So if it's mine, I can never be jealous of mine. And so there's no question of fighting with my brother or sister, because it's my brother, my sister. I fight with everybody for my brother or sister, because it's my brother and my sister. Yeah? And actually, one or two families told me that they tried this and it worked. So I think it's, the society is kind of, lots of things is picked up from the society. Children don't get educated by books and, when in the class, now you should think like this. They just, what they see and what they, people are usually doing, how they are behaving. That they pick up. And that's how they do. I think we learn from what people doing, not by what they're saying. That's why, okay, anyway. Okay, thank you.